Today is April 25th, 2025, and what a time to be alive. This video I dedicate to an update on my spiritual journey and where I'm at in this journey. I originally made this video where I was going to come on in here and kind of complain, right? But God is too good for me to complain. I think it's better if I give encouragement. You know, there's a time where the Israelites, after they were taken out of Egypt or Mizraim, where they questioned the path that they had taken, where they questioned if God was really with them or if it would be easier for them to turn back around. And if you're on this journey currently, if you've already been on it, or if you hopefully get to the point where this video reaches you somewhere in your spiritual journey, you're probably going to come to that point. I don't know of anyone who's gone on this spiritual journey or this awakening journey where they don't go to the point where they're left in the wilderness, where God refines and tests you, where you have to prove your loyalty, you know what I mean? And throughout that time, I know I have at least, you question a lot of things. You look back at your life that you had previously, and it seems a little easier because the life after following God, the narrow path, is very uncertain. I'm at an uncertain time in my life right now. You know, I was led to start a business, and it's had some successes. You know what I mean? So it makes it hard for me to come on here and complain. I'm in here jeweled up. You know, I was watching back one of the videos I just made. I'm like, I can't post this. I'm in this thing jeweled up. I'm in a nice Airbnb, you know what I mean? I'm able to afford it, about to move to another Airbnb, but it's uncertain still, you know what I mean? You can look on the outside, look through this window looking in, you think man, he's got it made, but life is still uncertain to me because I don't know where I'm coming, I don't know where I'm going half the time, you know what I mean? And maybe that's just the journey God has me on for whatever reason, and I should just appreciate that, and maybe that's what I'm going to work on doing. But in the meantime, I did have just a few Bible verses I wanted to discuss that kind of go in line with the path that I'm on, or in the place in my journey that I'm on currently. Numbers 14 verse 2 through 4. And all the children of Yasharel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole assembly said unto them, would Elohim that we had died in the land of Mizraim or Egypt, or would Elohim we had died in the wilderness? And why has Yahuah brought us into this land to fall by the sword? And they said one to the other, let us make a captain and let us return to Mizraim or Egypt. The key points of this verse: they literally wanted to go back to bondage rather than endure the uncertainty of freedom. You know, God has really freed me. As I've said in previous videos, before my spiritual awakening, I was working 2 blessed jobs. Thankfully, he blessed me in my bondage like he did Joseph. But I was working 2 jobs, one with a headphone on this ear, one with a headphone on this ear. You know what I mean? But it was stressful. And then on weekends, I would work Uber. You know what I mean? Luckily, I had a job that provided me with brand new vehicles, right? I worked for a large automaker, and they gave me brand new lease vehicles every 6 months. And only thing I had to pay on them was insurance, a very small monthly payment for them, way less than what they're actually valued at. And I would go and drive Uber in those things, Uber Black, you know what I mean? I would get the Uber SUV, whatever those fees are, you know, the little bit larger of a profit making, you know what I mean? But that would be my little side hustle as well. So I was blessed even in my bondage to be able to afford the things I wanted, take care of my kids, and even got to a point where I could live overseas for a bit, living in Medellin, Colombia. But since then, I've been completely freed for the last 2 years. Now, most days I sit around and I'm looking for something to do. You know what I mean? I don't have anything to do, and that kind of adds to my frustration. I'm blessed and I'm thankful that I don't have to stress and be tied to an office or tied to a phone like I had to do all the time. But it does get uncertain especially with being a business owner. It's one of the most uncertain things I've ever done. It's my first business I've ever had. And it hasn't been as rosy. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't gone the way that I thought it was going to go. The way that I thought it was going to go, especially with God calling me to start this business, I thought it was going to be like that, just abundance. I thought doors are going to open that would never open. I'm sorry, doors would open that would never close, and the money was just going to be flowing in. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. You know what I mean? The millions haven't come. They just haven't come. Maybe that's around the corner, and I'm a little impatient. And I think just like the Israelites, you can get very impatient. You know what I mean? It speaks about them being in the wilderness for 40 years. Let's go to that verse. You know what I mean? So we can get a little edification on it. Deuteronomy 8, verse 2 through 3. And you shall remember all the way which Yahuah Elohai led you these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or no. And he humbled you and suffered you to hunger and fed you with manna, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahuah does man live. Key points of this verse, or these verses: the wilderness is not punishment. It's refining, testing, and preparing you. But it speaks of them staying in the wilderness for 40 years. I've been in what I consider a wilderness about 2.5 years now. And man, I can't even imagine 40 years. You know what I mean? 40 years of this testing and refining. It already seems like it never ends. Some days seem redundant and repeated. You know, the movie Groundhog Day, it kind of reminds me of that, where I'm waking up and I'm waiting for something to change. I'm waiting for the blessings that I know God could pour out in my life like that. And it's just not coming. And I'm doing everything I can. I continually make sacrifices. I've given up whoredom. I've given up going to clubs and being a party animal and being a person that follows my flesh. I've given up a lot of things. Just recently, about 3 months ago, gave up even smoking marijuana, something that would help me through stressful days. You know what I mean? Make days a little more peaceful, give me peace of mind, give me a relaxed feeling. I gave that up because for many reasons. I believe we should definitely be giving that up because now the pharmaceutical industry has their hands in that. And so I believe God's led me away from that as well. That's a whole nother story. But there are a lot of sacrifices that we make in this journey. And sometimes it feels like you're not reaping the benefits of those sacrifices or the investments that you've put into God. No matter if he is blessing you or sustaining you. And that's what the manna is that it speaks about. The manna is him sustaining you. He's sustaining me now where I can afford, at least I can afford an Airbnb. You know what I mean? To stay in nice Airbnbs. I stay in some pretty shabby places and renting vehicles. At least I can afford that. You know what I mean? I'm walking around here iced that. You know what I mean? At least I can do that. But what I'm waiting for from God far exceeds that. I'm waiting for a home. I'm waiting for land. I'm waiting for the miracles and the blessings that come when you follow the ordinances of God. And we can go into that as well. I've even got some Bible verses as to what you can expect, the blessings that you can expect when following these ordinances. It says you'll be blessed in the city and blessed in the field. Blessed fruit of your body, ground, cattle. Blessed when you come in and blessed when you go out. Yahuah will defeat your enemies before you. Now that's the one I'm waiting for. Yahuah will command the blessings upon your storehouse. You will be established as a holy people. All people will fear you because of his name. Abundant goods, increase in land, rain in season. You shall lend to many and not borrow. Yahuah will make you head, not the tail. Now, verse Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14 is where that comes from. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the manifestations of those things. I've got children. You know, my main goal when I moved back in the country from South America was to reconnect with all of my children, find a way to take care of them and get a place where I can, love on my children, maybe start a relationship that I've never had with my children. But that hasn't fallen into place. I've got a younger child who's 7 years old. We share the same birthday. And I'm dealing with a point now where his mother is keeping me away from him. I haven't seen him since Christmas. She's doing everything with the demon inside of her, is doing everything she can to keep us apart, because us being together fulfills a promise, right? So I'm waiting for those things to manifest in my life. And when those things don't happen, I get very frustrated, and I get to questioning, and I get to looking back at Egypt, right? Because when I was in Egypt, I had those things, right? When I was still living in the world, I had those things. I had a better relationship with my children and with my baby son back when I was in Egypt. But I'm still holding out faith that God is going to bring me a true relationship with them and put them in my possession and put them in my hands. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really waiting for me to be in possession of my children and stripped away from these. We're not even going to go into these mothers, but I understand if you're in the same position I am, or if you haven't made it to that point yet. When you first get into this walk, you're really excited, especially when you get the awakening feeling that I had. If you get anything like I had, or like most people have when they go through the awakening journey, where you get the connection with God, where oh man, He selected me, He's chosen me, He's come and tapped me on my shoulder, and it's time for me. He's activated me. Most people don't. They reject the activation. Most people say, oh no, I'm not leaving. I'm going to keep working these jobs. I'm going to stay in safety. I'm going to stay in comfort. I love my basketball. I love my football. I love my wrestling. I'm not letting go of these things. That's what most people are going to do. But there are a select few, like me and you, if you're watching this video, that choose the opposite, that choose the hard path, the narrow path. And in that path, it comes a point where it's not gonna seem like there's a way out of this pit, a way out of this fire. But we have to keep our hope alive. And hopefully the next time I come on here, I can give you a further edification as to where I'm at in my journey. And I hope the next time I'm not still in the wilderness, for another 3, 4, 40 years. You know what I mean? I'm hoping I pass whatever test that I'm in, whatever refinement that I'm in, and I can come on in here and give you a better update. But until then, pray for me. I pray for you, and I hope to see you again. Peace.